Welcome to another episode of Potion Sword Run. And Sony, Insomniac, all of their studios seem to be in a lot of trouble. Losing their identity, not really knowing where to go from here. But before we begin, again, do not like this video. I am still wanted for stealing my neighbor's cats. They keep on knocking, and I won't let them in. Now this is just my opinion based on all the leaks and stuff that I've read, but it seems to me that Sony with PlayStation doesn't really know who it is anymore. It really did lose his identity. With the Insomniac leaks, it looks like they are relegated to being a Marvel studio and releasing games not on a rail, but don't really push the boundary in game design or anything. Spider-Man 2, Miles Morales. They're good games, they're fun, but they get stale over time. And the looks of Wolverine from We've Seen, it kind of follows the same blueprint. And then after that, they're gonna be releasing another Spider-Man game, a Venom game, an X-Men game. And they're all gonna fall within the same, gameplay structure. And that's, to me at least, even though these Marvel games are, you get to play as the superheroes and it's fun for a bit, that formula is getting outdated. So it's sad to see that Insomniac, a studio that makes great games like Ratchet and Clank, are relegated now to these Marvel games. And the reason being is because it's the only thing that brings them profit. And they don't even bring in that much profit. When you look at this chart that was released, it shows that they're making less than 100 million per game. Yeah, 100 million is a lot of money, it is. But it's only about a fourth of what they spent on development. And that's not really a good return on investment. You want to make more than you actually spend. That's kind of the whole goal. But with all the licensing fees, all the stuff that goes to Marvel, marketing and everything else, they don't really get that much money. But then when you look at Ratchet and Clank, they actually lost money. So they're losing money on their original IPs, so they can't get away from all the fees that way. Because these are superheroes Marvel games, that's the reason why they sell. It isn't because Insomniac is the one that's making them. If it was another studio that was making them, it would sell pretty much the same. And the thing is, they should probably start giving some of these licenses to other studios so that the formula isn't all the same. Because with each new release, I feel that it's gonna, sell less and less. So the profit margin is gonna be less and less, even to a point where you're probably not gonna make any profit at all. Spider-Man is top tier. And then after that, you go Wolverine, Venom, and you start, after that, people are not gonna be interested as much. And I feel sorry for Insomniac, because just like Sony, it looks like they're gonna lose their way too. I guess it's fine to have a Marvel studio out there, making just nothing but Marvel games, but when you're like a creative studio being relegated to only Marvel, I'm sure they're gonna lose a lot of talent. And that's probably why, Spider-Man 2 was full of bugs and pretty much the same rails that Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales laid ahead. So you really don't need to play it unless you want the nice story. I'm not sure when it was where Sony lost its identity, but I remember when they had the Japan studio and they would release like on PlayStation 2, they would release like wacky games like Rappa the Rappa or something. Like they would release cool, quirky Japanese games that didn't even cost that much and would make money. But then they, after shutting down those studios, started focusing on these single player, games, Western games, Uncharted, things like that. And it sold, but it didn't have any reoccurring money. Like it just, the budgets got too big, you know. So even though they did make profit, you know, their margins started getting slimmer and slimmer when it comes to how much you spend on making games. And then I think they just got too big for their bridges, you know. And that's when they started to go into live service, and that became a big old disaster. And it looks now like they don't really know what to do, except for maybe raise their games, the prices of their games now, according to these leaks. Not only just raising their games, but also partitioning their games. You know, like Spider-Man, for example. I mean, it's cool to have little spin-offs and stuff, but not when that stuff is supposed to be inside the games. And it looks like they're trying to either make the game shorter, even though Spider-Man's only like 12 hours. And I don't mind having shorter games, that's fine, but so long as the price resembles it. But Sony's not trying to do that. They're trying to shorten their games, they're trying to break up their games and sell them in pieces. You know, anything to do to make some money, because they're desperate at the moment. And this is only the leaks of Insomniac. Now imagine if we had, you know, what was going on in Bungie, or all the internal going on in what's the Uncharted, Naughty Dog. You know, after they canceled Factions, The Last of Us multiplayer game. You know, there's a lot of like internal turmoil going on in these studios. You know, it's evident by what we see going on in Insomniac. I'm sure all of the studios across Sony board are struggling like this, struggling with their identity. The reason why Naughty Dog didn't want to release Factions was because they thought that they would lose their identity and they'll become nothing but a live studio just concentrating on one game. Supposedly, that's what they say. And that's 2 studios that we know of. What about the rest? Jim Ryan leaving is a godsend to Sony and PlayStation, because the last 5 years, 10 years, the launch of the PlayStation 5, he ruined the studios. And it sucks because PlayStation is an awesome system. It really is. But the games? Like, where are the quirky games? Where are the cool games, the different games? Where are the AAA games? There's still going to be way more news coming out about all the troubles that Sony is having, because this is just one of the dumps. I'm sure because of this, the hacker group is probably going to try to get other studios and release more information. The future just doesn't look bright for PlayStation right now. I really hope that they can get it together, because I want to play some games on my PlayStation. Every time I turn it on, I'm disappointed. Severely disappointed. It feels like the PlayStation 3 all over again. You know, PlayStation 4, they started to get to act together, you know? They release awesome AAA games. They release awesome AA games, like Japanese studio games. Not Japanese studio, not Japan studio, but you know, those Japanese type of games, you know? And this PlayStation 5, hard to find games in it. Anyways, I'm just rambling now, but I really hope they get it together. Right now, it doesn't look like 2024 is going to be the year for them. Hopefully 2025. God, they're going to start releasing new consoles by then. Watch. Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode. Catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.